Hey everybody, Jim from Jim's Holiest Coleus. Alright, today I'm going to do a quick video. If you're following along, you know that I keep a certain number of rootings. And this year I did really well. All of my rootings have made it through from last year. So I've been keeping wet rootings going since September when I cut them. Now it's time to put them in pots. I'm going to be potting up my Lord Voldemort. If you're new to my channel, Lord Voldemort Coleus, I bought a Lord Voldemort. I believe that's from Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. I bought this Coleus. My God, it's got to be 7 years from now. The mother, and I can never get the seeds. Very, very tough to get seeds from it. Like 1 year I got seeds, but I've been keeping rootings for the past 7 years, which means I root, keep them over the winter, pot them in the spring like we're going to do in this video, and then in fall I cut about 6 to 8 rootings just to make sure I don't lose any. This year I cut 6. Every one of them has thrived. They're really in great shape. They're actually in better shape this year. The rootings look excellent. They're not as leggy. They are leggy, but I cut long stems anyway. So let's get to it and pot up some Lord Voldemort rootings, and just wait. This is what they looked like last year when they were fully grown. I'm going to use the same pot as I do every year, and I'm really looking forward to it. Maybe we can, if we're nice to this Coleus, maybe we can get this Lord Voldemort to give up some seeds. So stay tuned. Let's get going and pot up some Lord Voldemort Coleus. Okay, you know, we're getting we had some really heavy thunder and lightning this morning, so I put some of my pots in the greenhouse. I put these underneath the table. Here's 4 of the 8. I believe I have 8, but we're gonna pot just 4 in the pot, and you can see these are really rooted. I mean, look at the roots, look at the healthy root ball on that. Is that a monster or what? And you can see it is leggy, but you can see growth coming in. This is going to be really a healthy Coleus. So I'm really looking forward to getting these in the pot, and I have a really deep pot which will accommodate these long rootings. Look at that. So you can keep rootings all winter and spring, as you can see here. Okay, so let's get these into the pot. Okay, so this is the Lord Voldemort pot that I use every year, and you can see it's very deep. It's drained, but lots of soil filled with Miracle-Gro potting mixture. I do switch it out. I add over the winter, I do compost. I put some eggshells, coffee grounds. Coffee grounds you can use for fertilizer, for natural fertilizer. However, you can't use fresh coffee grounds. You can't start composting with fresh coffee grounds and then plant your plants right there. Then you need to let them compost and break down over the course of winter if you can, because fresh coffee in your soil will absorb nitrogen, which will rob the plant, and it's not good for the plant. But once it breaks down, it's a wonderful natural fertilizer. So we've had the coffee grounds in here for months on end, mixed up real well. I'm constantly mixing some shake and feed, Miracle-Gro shake and feed fertilizer in the mixture. You can actually see it. So this soil is rich, and of course we're going to fertilize later. But let's get these Lord Voldemort Coleus in. So I generally I have 4, and then 1 at 12, 1 at 7, and then 1 at 4 o'clock. It's a circle, so you do what you got to do. But I do plant them in a circle, and it fills out nicely, just like this one here. This was the plant from last year again. Lord Voldemort Coleus. Okay, so Gotta dig a real deep hole because we have long rootings. You can see we got a really long rooting. Now I'm just gonna kind of eye it first. We want to make sure most of the roots down to where the water line is here. I'm gonna put some shake and feed fertilizer. I'm gonna put some shake and feed fertilizer in. Just a bit. But now I don't want to burn the roots themselves. So what I'll do is I put some in, but I'm just going to put a little bit of soil over so the roots aren't touching direct. And we'll put the rooting in. And it's hard to do with one hand. I normally have my son here doing the camera work, but he's ready to go to Florence, Italy as a chef for the summer, starting tomorrow, or on Saturday rather. So anyway, you get the idea. So dig a deep hole depending on your rooting. These are really long. I got a nice deep pot here. Deep hole. Make sure all the roots are covered up well. Put a little fertilizer pellets in if you have. We'll get these all dug in, and then we'll put a little of fertilizer pellets on top and water. Now I'm not going to water because we're getting some heavy rain coming in another hour or so. So I'm going to wait and see. Of course, if that doesn't happen, then I will come out and water them. Most of the time, they will do fine. They may show a little bit of stress and wilt. There's a possibility, there's always a possibility that one or two will die. I may have had that happen once. I get squirrels that love to come in here digging these up, but it's very hard to dig these up because they're down so deep, so rarely do they do damage. But I've had some walk away with little kongs that I planted that had shallow roots. That's happened. So it's like a little, like seeding. You seed extra for the birds, so I plant sometimes extra for the squirrels when they dig them up. So all right, so you get the idea. But you can keep rootings all winter long and plant them in the spring, and then depending on if you really like the planting, you can't get other ones. Keep repeating that year after year. I don't do this with kongs, except for that beautiful wizard rose kong jitters variation. I did with that because I haven't gotten seeds from it, and it's really an interesting plant, so I took a whole bunch of cuttings off of it and made up a bunch of clones. So there's a lot of different exciting things you could do with Coleus. You could root them, you can cut multiple branches and make multiple clones of the original plant. You can get seeds from them. There's so much excitement and variation. There's so much fun you can have with these Coleus, and I'm just trying to teach you all of it, and then you can apply it to your lifestyle. Not everybody has this or that, maybe so you don't have a window. Apply it to your lifestyle or situation. So all right, so let's dig the rest of the holes and plant these Lord Voldemorts, and we'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so let's straighten this up a little bit. And what I may do at the end is snip a couple of the leaves if they're kind of getting in the way here. I can actually get away with 3 possibly. I may just put 3 in here because these rootings are much bigger than rootings I've had in the past years rather. So I'm going to see, because we don't want to overcrowd it. And this is about a 18 or 20 inch pot, but it's very, very deep. So plants really do well here. So again, let's try, here comes a military plane, jet. Always something flying around here over the ocean. Okay, we'll shake and feed, and we'll toss a little in there. This is a really big Coleus rooting. Let's get this one in. Yeah, I could have put one in the middle, but again, these are really big. These are healthy, and I think we'll choose this one here between the two of them. It's got a double branch, so we're going to put it this way. Whoop. Got to put a little bit of shake and feed in, just a little, not a lot, because we got a lot of fertilizer. You know, Coleus don't. There's people who say Coleus don't even need fertilizer, and you know what? At first, no. But once they're grown, they do benefit from it. So, but don't make it, don't let it become a stress for your enjoyment with Coleus. If you're not sure and you don't want to mess with the mixed stuff, then get the shake and feed and just feed your Coleus outdoors every 3 weeks or so. I mean, this feeds as you water, so you don't really need a lot of it. So you may ask yourself, well, then why bother using the liquid stuff? After this gets huge, like this one, I'm gonna go back to the main mother plant. After this gets huge like that, I find that the liquid fertilizer really gets into the root system really well, better than this stuff. Well, this is good, but again, I like using the liquid stuff. And it's easier and less, and it's more economical. I mean, this is expensive, so you're not going to use this every 6 weeks or every 2 weeks. I'm not going to use this every 10 days. So it's just a tool. But again, Coleus don't require a lot of maintenance other than trimming. Just checking things, trimming and stuff, and we'll get to that. We have plenty of time ahead, so don't let this stress you out. Moderation. I tell everybody moderation. Sun, fertilizer, water, and warmth, of course. But this is going to be a beautiful, beautiful Lord Voldemort Coleus. Just you wait. Okay, you know what? We're going to put 4. I'm gonna put one at 3 o'clock. Looking at it now, I think we'll be okay. Well, here's a little leftover from last year. I thought I got most of it out. That's the stem and root from the last year's Coleus. It was in the same spot, obviously. All right. A little bit of shake and feed, a little spritz. It's like being a chef. I'm hanging around with my son too much. As I mentioned, my son's going to Florence for a culinary internship for about 2 months, 3 months. So he's leaving shortly, and it's a wonderful opportunity for him for his culinary degree. So a little nervous having him go, but it's a good structured program, so I have no real worries. But there you have it. And again, we're going to wait to water because we are going to get some rain. And if not, I'll come out and give him a drink. And these are much more healthy than last year's. If you've been following along and you remember these from last year, not these, but the rootings that I had last year, they had 2 little leaves up top and the whole stem was bare with little growth, just little pieces of growth coming in. And I wasn't sure if they were actually going to make it, but the weather turned, and again, last year was horrible. It was just a bad year. But they came through and they grew really well. But these are going to be really nice. Lord Voldemort Coleus. These make really good rootings. They make very good cuttings, rootings, because they're very hardy. Very hardy. So they're just a great candidate for cuttings, rootings. Okay, so you know, before we finish this, I'm gonna check. We're gonna go in the greenhouse. Really keep you up to date on the greenhouse. Here is that overwintered Saturn's rings. You see, it's really coming. It's all day in sun yesterday. These love sun. These do really well in full sun. Just got to make sure. Now, a pot like this holds a lot of water, so when we got plenty of rain today, so we're not going to water this. We're just going to let it hang. So stay tuned, watch. You will not believe the size that this Coleus is going to be. You can see I got some seed stalks coming in, so more than likely we're going to snip it because it's still early. We got plenty of time to get seeds, but knowing that this is a good seeder, that this is going to seed like it does, is good for me, because now I have the seeds for it. And I've already pollinated this. If you're following along, you know I've pollinated this by hand. The seed stalks are ready, so I have a number of seeds, and I have its offspring inside. I'm going to go in the greenhouse real quick, and I'll show you those. If you're new to my channel, it's your first time watching, I'll show you the offspring to this plant. But otherwise, if you're a regular follower, we're going to go in, just check out some of them. Look at that. These are ready for the farmers market, which is going to take place June 22nd here in Bayhead, New Jersey. If you're a Jersey person, local, or you want a New Jersey day trip, stay tuned for that. But you can see things are really, really crazy here. Let's back out a little bit. You got the fan. I have the fan going 24/7 now. There's nothing more important if you're greenhousing than fans, than ventilation, keeping the air moving. It just does wonders for photosynthesis, for the getting the strong roots, keeping pests at bay. It's not going to eliminate your pests, but it keeps pests from finding a nice comfortable spot underneath, and it just controls the heat. So I have now today's an overcast, humid day. So we're just gonna close our mouth and show you these beautiful Coleus. That's a La Rambla. There are offspring. Those are seeds from that's Saturn's rings. Rooting from that Coleus up on the deck at the start of the video. Those are yet to be potted. Not all of them will be potted again. I make these every year, and they go. They're a favorite. How can you not love them? And these pots are so cheap that whoever buys them, if they don't want to keep them in here, it's no big deal. You just pop them out and plant them somewhere else. It's their Coleus. That's mine. This is going to, eventually I'm going to put this outside. The weather again today, I was planning to put it out today, but we're getting severe thunderstorms, hail possibly today. We already had some heavy stuff this morning, so I'm gonna wait. No rush really. And again, these hanging baskets, they're all growing in. Let's take this one down, take a look at it. And a day like today, it does magic to these. I mean, I can just film another whole video in here. Now, a few of these are from Rosy Dawn. That's a Spitfire. That's a Chipotle, which is sort of, I think, my jitters years ago cross-pollinated with this, and I think that's how I got these seeds, by cross-pollination from a Chipotle and a Wizard Rose, which is how I got sort of like the Spitfire. but these are beautiful. And I have my Darth Vaders. I got some Darth Vaders this year. I didn't get any last year. I missed them, as ugly as they are. And of course we got to go over here, and these are the Wizard Roses. Tomorrow I'm going to move these to another location that gets some more sun, because I think they need a little bit more sun. They definitely improved over here, because I had them in the corner over there on the bottom at first because I wanted to get them going. But they seem, this crop this year seems to be reacting positively to more sun. So I'm not baking them in direct sun, but they are definitely a good crop. They're just very slow compared to others. Compared to these Kongs, which are monsters. They just explode. Look at it, that's a Jade Kong, and these are sort of like Empire Kongs. It's a Jitters, and so that's a Kong Red, Mosaic. Okay, you know, I think a video or two back I misidentified one of my Coleus. These are Kingswood torches, I believe, and I think that's how I got some of this color. This is like a Kingswood torch. I did have a Kingswood torch last year. Unless they're patented, unless they're non-patented, then but yeah, these look like Kingswood torches. Here's a Kong Red. And again, these are the duds, quote duds, which they're beautiful in themselves. People will buy them. I just sell them for $2 a piece or $1 a piece. Again, here's a Kingswood torch in the center there, in that pale ivory. That's sort of like a green. And again, we have, I potted up, as you can see, I potted up a lot of mosaics. And here is one of the offspring, just from the seeds that I planted from this when I pollinated these by hand with the brush, if you were following along. And here is the offspring, which you can clearly see. So they are pretty true. These, I was very lucky because I isolated them. I pollinated them directly. There were no other Coleus near it. No other seeding Coleus, no other plants that are pollinating that could mix into it. So I was lucky to get an exact, because I directly pollinated the seed stalk flower with a brush. So I have a number of these. I have about probably 10 inside, but they're beautiful. Saturn's rings. Okay, everybody, so I hope you enjoy that, and you just apply this to your other rootings. I have probably another dozen, maybe, rootings, cuttings that I'm going to pot. So I'm not going to film every one of them. There's really no need to. The principle is the same. The depth of your rooting, the whole rooting you have. I mean, some of my rootings are maybe that big. They're not big, so they're not going to need a deep pot like this. But most of them are pretty long, and I do have good pots for them. So, but this is really exciting, and I hope you enjoyed it. And stay tuned. There's lots more to come here. Jim's Coleus.